So, for today's podcast, it's time for another board recap podcast. And Superintendent Smith was not able to be at the board meeting last night. So, Chief of Staff Rick Cameron is going to join us today to take us through this. Rick, we appreciate you coming in and taking us through the board agenda.
Glad to be here.
All right. So, let's jump right in. Let's take a look at good news from last night. We always have so much good news to share. So, we had our honors concert recently that was at the Victory Theater. Such a beautiful historic venue here in Evansville. This was for our honors musicians at the high school level. So honors band, honors orchestra, honors choir. They put on an amazing performance. Dr. Smith even got to conduct some for this concert, which I know is something near and dear to his heart. So just really a great showing and just a showcase of the great talent. I know, Rick, you've gone to those in the past, and I know you never cease to be amazed by the talent on display.
Absolutely. These are always comparable to me to going to Philharmonic at the same venue. The talent is there. It's great for our community and showcases just what EVSC students are doing.
Absolutely. We even had a few of them on our podcast recently, and to hear them talk about their experiences with fine arts was just amazing. This is a student that we have recognized before, a student athlete from Central High School, Maddie Shirley. She recently was voted as a Sports Illustrated, get that, an SI National Girls High School Athlete of the Week, and that is not something that happens every day. So congratulations to Maddie Shirley, fine junior basketball player at Central High School.
And after the meeting, public member Samples pointed out to me that she's a junior, so they'll be returning next year.
She's already the leading scorer in Central girls basketball in history. She's already well past the 1,000-point club, and you're right, Rick, she's got a whole nother year to go. So
awesome.
That's just amazing. Last month, end of the month, we had our February Cause for Applause. So frequent listeners know this is our Employee of the Month program. So congrats to one of our EVSC physical therapists, Julie Wickham. She's been with us for many years. This was even a kind of a sweeter time period to present this to her because she's going to be retiring from us at the end of the year. But she is an outstanding physical therapist with EVSC. So congrats to Julie Wickham. Also, congrats to the Harrison High School Warriors. They won their second consecutive boys basketball sectional this year. Unfortunately, came up a bit short in the regional, but boy, to win a sectional 2 years in a row, just great for them. Great showcase for their athletes, everyone around their basketball program, and of course for their students. A lot of excitement there at Harrison High School. So congratulations to them. Also, congrats to our Southern Indiana Career and Tech Center Media Communications and Broadcasting students. That's one of our fine programs out at the Career Center on Lynch. They competed in the Indiana Association of School Broadcasters state competition. Many of our students were recognized and earned places in that competition. And then WPSR, the radio station in that program, we won first place for Radio School of the Year. So that is just outstanding. And I know you're no stranger to those programs, Rick. What a great way to showcase those students.
I think it's one of the bright spots in the career tech and also in the community. I love on a Saturday to listen in to the programs that the students are doing. You can tell they're having such a great time at it. But this shows just how well it's being done.
Yeah, and I think there were over 650 projects submitted across the state for our students to do so well. Really shows the talent and the strength of the program we have here in EVSC with that.
Absolutely.
And then last but not least, this is something that we take so much pride in. So we had 4 National Merit finalists this year, and I believe you have to be in the top 1% of PSAT testing scores, and that's nationwide. This is an incredibly difficult bar to hit. And so to have 4 students representing Harrison, North, Central, and Bosse this year is just fantastic for those schools, these students, their families, and for the EVSC. Congratulations to Amelie Hubbard, to Austin Street, to Carson Gibson, and to Ben Honigford for being National Merit finalist. And that is something that we don't take lightly, Rick.
Absolutely. Incredible work all the way around by the students, of course, but also their families and their teachers. their administrators are doing all that wonderful work
Absolutely, and not just at the high school level, all the way
all
up.
the
I
way
mean,
up.
this type of success started in kindergarten and all the way through middle and high school, so
Absolutely.
really is great. So, anyway, that's good news from last night. Always a lot of good news to celebrate. And Rick, if you don't mind taking us through last night's consent items, please.
Absolutely, be happy to. So there were 8 items on the consent agenda. Of course, there were the minutes of the February meeting. There was the consideration of the allowance of payment. 3.03 was the consideration to approve grant proposals, and 3.04, the consideration to ratify the early literacy grant supplemental payments. 3.05, the consideration to approve items that would be declared surplus. 3.06 was a consideration to approve the agreement with the Old National Events Plaza. 3.07 was consideration to approve board meeting dates for the 25-26 school year. And finally, consent item 3.08 was consideration to approve the petition to the Indiana Department of Education for the Common School Fund loan.
Okay, thank you very much. And as we always say, of course, you can click on these attachments on board docs if you want. You can see really everything that you need to know about these in greater depth if you're interested. And that took us then into consideration of personnel recommendations. As Dr. Smith always says, you can also click on that link on board docs and you can see everyone, any movement that we had, either for the current school year or for the year ahead. On the personnel report. So you can click on that. And then that takes us to the next section of the meeting, the action items. So, Rick, if you don't mind taking us through those.
Sure. Action item 5.01 was the public hearing for the additional appropriation for the 2025 general obligation bond. 5.02 was consideration to adopt the additional appropriation and bond resolution for the 2025 general obligation bonds. 5.03 was consideration to approve updates to policy 6520, which was payroll deductions.
And Rick, if you don't mind, I'm going to pause
Sure.
you there because not just to dig into this one, because people can click on the link to see what you were presenting as far as policy 6520 payroll deductions. But while we've got a chance with you sitting in the chair, because as chief of staff, this is something that you certainly coordinate, and your office really puts a lot of time into our policy updates. And frequent listeners of this podcast hear Dr. Smith and I talking about this every time we do one of these. Talk to us about what do we mean when we say policy updates? First of all, why do we have policies? And second of all, why are we always talking about updating them, if you will?
Yeah, so policy is really what I think of. Policy is the laws of the school corporation. The board is charged really with 2 great big items. One was the hiring of the superintendent.
Sure.
We've got a superintendent search going on now. And the second one is the policies of the corporation. So board adopted policy can be thought of like the laws of the school corporation. They can be found on board docs by clicking the link to policies. So all of our policies are public facing.
They're also on the website, evscschools.com, which will take you to board docs that
Yep.
you're referring
So
to.
that's where they're housed. And policy can be updated for any number of reasons. 6520 was updated so that certain payroll deductions could be added to payroll when payrolls run. So those expenditures or those deductions can be made. So we updated the policy there because that's something that the corporation and the board wanted to do and approve. But the other big driver of policy updates are changes that come down from the legislature.
Okay.
So a
For state
change in
statutes you're talking
actual
about.
laws.
Okay.
Yes. So as you watch legislative updates and changes that affect education and the community, some laws will change about certain matters, and that will predicate a update of the policy. And we subscribe to the Indiana School Board Association's comprehensive policy
So
management.
what does that do for you? I've heard you say that before. How does that help you?
So that gives us access really to the Indiana School Board Association's legal team, who they have a set format of policies, and they are also specific to school corporations. And school corporations in Indiana, because school corporations in Indiana obviously are governed by Indiana law. The previous policy management system we had was Neola, and that was a national system.
Okay.
Although they had an Indiana branch which paid attention to changes in Indiana law, oftentimes we saw that we would be lagging in getting updates and recommendations from them.
So
With
this has been an improvement
ISBA,
with
yes,
ISBA.
they're coming out 4 times a year: the spring, summer, winter, and fall updates. And they watch the changes in law and changes in uh, um, protocols, maybe at
Okay.
IDOE and other things. So those are the things that affect policy, and that's why you see policy updates
And it
coming
sounds
to the
like
board.
it sounds like you and your team in your office, it's really an ongoing process, right? It's not like we just
Absolutely.
do policy updates in a certain month or two of the year. I mean, you're constantly monitoring and working with that service to make sure that we are maintaining and updating all policies that we have.
Yeah, we're always doing that, and there's always, like I like to refer to, there's always some policies in the hopper at some state of it, because different policies, like there's certain policies that affect HR, certain policies that affect our family and community engagement. So we want to make sure that those departments have seen and reviewed those, as well as those things have gone to the board as information, so that the board has a chance to review it before it comes as action, and then it's finally adopted as the law of the school corporation. But we want to make sure everyone's seen it and that we've had the legal reviews. So there's always some policies in the hopper.
And it's always it strikes me that it's a technical process in that if there's just a minor update, as chief of staff, you can't just go through, type up the update, hit submit, and it's done. I mean, everything that you do, you would then present to the board who has to officially approve any changes. You can't do it just as chief of staff.
Absolutely, absolutely. All those changes, they do require board approval when a statute changes or something like that. The only thing that wouldn't is if we saw a grammatical error in a policy
Okay.
that was posted. We would
Spelling error, that type of
we would
thing.
update that
Okay.
without taking that to the board. As long as you are not changing the meaning of the
Sure.
policy, you're just correcting a misspelling or a
Okay.
misplaced comma, then if that was all you were doing, it would not require board approval.
Okay. Well, that's very helpful. We appreciate, since you're sitting here today, being able to take us through that, because I do know that you spend a great deal of time doing those policy
Absolutely.
updates. If you want to continue, Rick, I think you would be at 5.04.
Yeah, that's the consideration to award the contract for the Academy for Innovative Studies Roofing Project 2025. And 5.05, Steve Scheller brought the consideration to award a contract for Culver Family Learning Center Unit Ventilator Project 2025.
And I know also listeners know that Dr. Smith and I frequently talk about Steve Scheller and his role of Chief Facilities Officer, and always going through different updates and projects that we have going in the school corporation. But I know you've always been closely involved with that. What a massive undertaking, and what a great job our facilities department does.
They are. They get regular shout outs. I think you become aware of the facilities department when we have things like inclement weather, and you see how quickly and how thoroughly our lots and our sidewalks get cleaned up, and the schools are taken care of, and they're ready to go. But then what you don't see is this kind of thing that's behind the
Sure.
scenes. Unit ventilators are not high priority
Right.
projects that look great and
Right.
make a school change. But things like those and roofs, they're what keep schools looking
Parking
good.
lots, all of that. Maybe not as glamorous, but boy, are they ever important when you have so
Important.
many
And
properties.
Steve and his team do a fantastic job with that. And constantly, we're a member of different organizations, the Indiana Urban Schools Association and other associations, where you travel to other facilities for meetings, and they actually travel here for meetings. And one thing I hear a lot when folks do travel here is the condition of
Well,
EVSC
we
schools.
take a lot of pride in that.
Yes, we do.
And
And that's all the way around.
And what a great example, just talking to Steve this past weekend. Of course, late overnight Friday night, we had pretty serious storms impacting our area. I know our facilities crew was busy working all weekend, dealing with limbs, dealing with some minor roof damage because of the storms. I mean, they just don't go home and come in on Monday morning and think what needs to be addressed. They are working 24/7 if need be to make sure our facilities are maintained, especially following a weather
Yeah.
event.
That is one of those departments that's on call 24/7. They have a on call list. They have a protocols for all of that. As soon as those storms came through, we were getting texts from Stephen and updates and sending lists. Here's what we have. Here's where we've got a roof leak here, or we had a fence down there, and here's here's the plan to get those taken care of so that we can have school on Monday
Absolutely.
without interruption at all.
That is their goal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that then takes us to last night's information items. And if you want to take us through those.
Absolutely. 6.01 was consideration to award the contract for Bossy baseball and softball field lighting.
What a
at
great
Washington Middle
thing
School.
to present last night. Looking forward to doing that improvement.
Long time coming. This is a project that goes all the way back to my days being in facilities where Bossy High School girls baseball playing down at Washington Middle School.
People may not even
Yeah.
realize that's behind there. The baseball and softball fields are behind Washington Middle School, but that's where Bossy plays.
Bossy plays, yeah.
Right.
And so that goes all the way back to my days, to Daryl Engermeyer when he was here, laying the foundations for this project and getting things into capital projects so that this can happen. I remember last night when there was some discussion about this, board member Duckworth and board member Ragland, President Ragland, were talking about the wheels of government, the wheels of school corporations do not always turn fast. And President Duckworth said, or member Duckworth said, no, it's actually the cash that does not turn
That's
over
right.
fast.
That's right.
And that's the big
Facilities
thing
has to do a lot with a little, unfortunately, when it comes to facilities funding. And so, but to
And
get
this one
this
was a long
accomplished,
time
yes,
coming.
absolutely. Great. Excited for Bossy High School. And again, this is an information item. We'll come back for formal approval then at our next meeting, but really is exciting. And then if you want to keep going.
Yeah, 6.02 was consideration to award the contract for Bossy High School first floor corridor flooring project 2025. 6.03 was consideration to award the contract for Wrights High School stadium renovations project 2025.
And feel free to click on that attachment. Of course, historic venue, the Wrights Bowl, and we've got several things planned for that. So encourage people to click on that, especially if you're a West Side fan of the Panthers, and you can see everything that's going to be taking place out at the Bowl.
Yeah, we were very excited for that bid to come in and for us to have the funding in place to be able to take the alternates as well, because that's going to be an incredible project for
Absolutely.
West Side. 6.04 was consideration to approve the contract with Franklin Covey from McGarry Middle School. 6.05 was education operations monthly review from Dr. Underwood in the business office. 6.06 summary of cash balances by fund. 6.07 expenditure ledger summary by function and object. And 6.08, Dr. Underwood presented the 2-year revenue comparison.
And as we always say, Dr. Underwood does this, these last 4 items, where it kind of gives the most recent update on the financial picture. And certainly we encourage people to click on that. You can literally see all of the facts, the figures, the numbers that Dr. Underwood has spent a lot of time putting together. So we encourage people to do that. And that took us into continued business. I know one part of continued business, you did just a brief update with Dr. Smith being unable to be there, just what he had the opportunity to do.
I did have his notes, and I did know that Dr. Smith was able to attend the Academy of Science and Medicine's banquet. He attended the Area Council PTA's banquet.
Shout out to all of our PTA members.
And was able to visit New Tech Institute for the reveal of their robot. And I think you were there, right?
I was not, but I know we were able to share this on social media. I believe they were able to name. We have several schools that participate in robotics. It's always so exciting, so incredible what the students build. But I believe the name of their robot is kind of in honor of Dr. Smith. He's always been so supportive of their program.
Absolutely.
So I know
it's a great program.
Great program at New Tech, and that's nice that they did that in honor of Dr. Smith. And also in continued business, as you alluded to earlier, and we've talked about this considerably in a considerable fashion lately, and that is we are in the midst, our board is, of a superintendent search because Dr. Smith will be retiring this summer. And so last night, we had an update on that, and I believe the window is now closed for applications. We did have several applications submitted, so our support with Indiana School Boards Association is going to be working with our board. They have an executive session planned, I think, coming up in a week where he is going to take them. Steve Horton, our advisor, is going to take them through looking at the different applicants we've had to screen and determine who is then going to move into the interview round, which I believe is coming up in April. So again, our board takes this very seriously, and this is very important work for them.
Absolutely. It absolutely is.
And kudos to them, and we certainly appreciate that guidance we're getting from the School Board Association. So that takes us through really last night's meeting. Rick, we appreciate you taking the time to go through everything with us. Been very interesting.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.